Hey guys, welcome to Personal Development Hacks. Just take a couple seconds, get a water, get a pad of paper. Got a special guest for this episode, so I'll get her introduced here in a second. All right. So, as you guys are all aware, our goal is to help you do what inspires you. And our special guest today is Andrea. And hi, Andrea. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you just kind of, for the folks that don't know you, introduce yourself and kind of what you're all about.
Yeah, I'm Andrea Nicholson, a board certified holistic nutritionist, and I have my own business working with holistic health in general. It's a virtual practice, so I work with people from all over, and I made this transition from forensic science. So I know that always institutes a fun conversation after that. So I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah, we might keep that one kind of off to the side in terms of what you've seen and stuff that I don't want to see ever in my life. So just explain a little bit, because I've had a few guests and a few different people that I've talked to about like the holistic like medicine and dieting and eating and stuff like that. So just kind of walk me at least through kind of what that means in terms of different than a vegetarian diet or stuff like that.
Yeah, basically what is meant by holistic is that it approaches from multiple different angles. So it's incorporating like your entire life, your entire body, all of the things, because really we're a complex ecosystem and there is no just one simple silver bullet that's going to fix everything. So we have to take into account a good quality diet, as well as overall lifestyle, exercise, sleep, stress management, toxin exposure, hydration, just all of the things really need to be at least considered. Not that everything needs to be changed, because maybe you're nailing it in some categories, but we really look at that holistic approach where we're looking at your entire life, your entire body, all of the influences that are having an impact.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that's great to hear that it is encompassing it. And I love the fact that you said like, sleep and, recharging, because it's been something I've been preaching for a little while, is like, you got to get sleep. Like, gone are the days where it's like I got to work hard, which means I got to, get 4 hours of sleep and then I'll get ahead. And it's like, no, you have to give that opportunity for your body, your mind to recharge, so that when you do wake up and you're now going full bore, that you're engaged in it and you're capable of it. And that goes for anything. It could be sleeping for work, or sleeping because you're active, or whatever ultimately it is. But what do you see as far as like the toughest one for people maybe to incorporate, or conversely, like what's the one that you find that most people kind of got this and it's just a small tweak?
I think in our current setup, I think the vast majority of people have at least some kind of movement down pretty good. It may not be a gym session. It may not be a formal, traditional thought of as, workout, but it's activity. So whether that's walking around your neighborhood or hiking or gardening or playing with your dogs or playing with your kids, most of us are getting at least some level of activity. Could it be more? Could it be different? Yeah, probably, but we're getting some kind of activity. So I think that's one that people are getting more so than maybe they used to get. And
right.
You can see that if you go into any gym nowadays, they're pretty packed, and it's not just the post-January crowd. They're staying pretty busy. And
no, so the post-January crowd is by this point, they've been home for a few months.
Yep. They called it a day a long time ago. But
yeah,
I think that's one of the mindset shifts that people have had, is it doesn't have to be a gym session. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to join a studio. You don't have to hire a personal trainer. You can just move. You can do push-ups and squats and lunges and walk your neighborhood and go on bike rides and dance and do house projects, and, all of it counts. Mm-hmm. And so I think we've kind of changed the approach in that way. I think the two that people struggle with the most, and that are not, which actually all of the other categories are kind of in this, is nutrition. I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what healthy eating really is. Unfortunately, a lot of what we've all been told and all of the things that we've been advised to do for optimal health or weight loss or whatever that may be, a lot of it's unfortunately wrong, and it's causing more sickness. So I think nutrition's a big one. I think stress, we're all so used to being stressed. We don't even know we're stressed. We don't even know what that means. And we're getting stress from a million different angles, included, which is the last one, would be sleep. I think we're not only not getting as much sleep as, as human beings used to get, but we're not getting very good quality sleep either. And we're not getting adequate rest even during the day. We think sitting in front of the TV is restful. It's not actually very restful. It's not a great rejuvenating activity. It doesn't let your mind rest. It doesn't let you kind of process all the things you've already seen throughout the day. You're adding more to that. And if you're watching suspenseful things or violent things, you're actually adding trauma vicariously just by watching it. Your brain doesn't know the difference.
Which is as simple as, I'm going to watch the 10 o'clock news. It's like, no, please God, no,
Yes.
don't watch that.
Exactly.
But I agree with you. And a couple things, like, instead of sitting down and watching TV, sit down and read a book. And honestly, I don't care what kind of book it is. It could be fiction or nonfiction. I mean, I've got a cabinet full of just like, different people's takes on mindset and motivation and inspiration and just different takes on it that helps me in my business kind of as a conduit to say, look, I've learned this stuff. I'm not claiming that I came up with it. I heard it from Lewis Howes, or I heard it from Joe Rogan, or I heard it from, Brandon Dawson or whatever, but you may not have. So I'm imparting that through what I'm reading. But if you're not into that type of reading, and you want to grab a Tom Clancy or something, that is so much better for you than sitting and watching, Suits reruns on Netflix or whatever. Because you're still engaged, but you're engaged in your mind, and it's making you think, which is healthy. And I want to get your take on something. So I heard this, I don't know, a while ago, but so someone was talking about like sleep, like the importance of it. And he says, it's not just the hours, but it's the quality of your sleep. And he's like, so I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to take 10 minutes of your day. He's like, I'm going to take 5 minutes in the morning, and I'm going to take 5 minutes at night. And basically he says, when you're done with your day and you're getting ready to turn in and go to sleep for the night, take 5 minutes by yourself and think of all the great and good things that are in your life. Don't think about the report that's due. Don't think about what the boss said, or don't think about, money stress or whatever. Just think of all the great things that are in your life. The fact that you're here. I mean, each of us, there was a 1 in 4 trillion shot that we would exist, right? But we're here. So think about all the things that you're thankful for, and then go to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, it's amazing how clear your mind will be, because you've got good sleep. You're in a positive mindset. So he says, just take that first 5 minutes and remind yourself of that positivity, and then go. And then as a side to that, delay your coffee intake by 2 hours, because you'll avoid your crash. And that comes from something, I can't remember his name, but something Hubbleman or something. And basically he just says, if you delay it 2 hours, you won't have the afternoon crash, because if you start your morning right, you're going to have all the energy you need, and you're not going to need an artificial stimulant or something like that. So agree, disagree?
I definitely agree on all of it. I think the more we can own our mornings and our evenings, the better off everything will be. We'll be setting ourselves up for better decisions. We will be setting ourselves up to not have to rely on willpower and chance and all of the things that a lot of us live by. And so if we can control our mind and control our schedules for that first chunk of the morning and last chunk of the evening, I think is amazing. And you can always add to that. I think 5 minutes of a gratitude practice is a fantastic thing to do. But you can also add in stretching or exercise or journaling or meditating or, laying on an acupressure mat or foam rolling, or, there's a million other things you could add that just put you in the driver's seat of the habits that you have. And then on the the sleep quality and the caffeine intake, 100% I agree. I think I've seen this so many times with some of the wearable devices, the health tech that a lot of people have nowadays, whether that be a fitness watch that you wear for sleeping or an Aura ring or a Whoop band or, any of these that track sleep quality. And it's shocking how many people truly believe that they're sleeping really well. They wake rested, they feel great, and then they use a tracker and they're not actually
And they're
sleeping
not.
very well at all. They
Yeah.
wake up a ton of times, their breathing is erratic, they're, all these things that we're not even necessarily aware of. They're not getting deep sleep or they're not getting REM sleep or whatever. I think there's a huge gap between what we think and what's actually happening in a lot of different arenas. And sleep is a great example of that.
Yeah, and that's where like some of that technology, it really can help you because you're able to identify, God, I was out, I thought, for 8 hours, but it turns out I was only in like good restful sleep for 45 minutes. The rest of it I was tossing and turning and I can't remember what I was dreaming about. And then I woke up this morning and the first thought was, God, I got that report. And it's like, because you didn't end your day on a positive note, your mind is always working. I was talking to someone yesterday about like the difference between subconscious and conscious, and she's like, the subconscious has a lot of good, like, and she referenced it. She goes, breathing, your heart beating, your blood flowing. I'm like, yeah, thank goodness that the subconscious takes care of those automatically. Otherwise, what would it look like on a Saturday morning when downtown is like people get a little bit too much and subconsciously they went, wait, we're breathing? And it's like, oh God. So it takes care of a lot of that, but it's the most powerful muscle and engine in our lives. And unfortunately, what you're putting into it, it impacts like everything that you're putting out of it. And we talk so much like on this podcast and in my courses, like about mindset. Like you have to get your mind in a right position to change or to desire what you want to be. And you have to get out of victim mode. It's people think, well, I'm 35, this is who I am. And it's like, no, there is no fault, shame. No one's going to look at you bad. Everyone deserves the right, if you choose, to remodel themselves at whatever age. I think I was in my early 40s when I was like, I'm going down a bad path and I'm unhealthy and I'm not eating right and whatever. And I flipped and I remodeled myself, and no one said, oh, how dare you? It was a lot of questions early, like, God, you're losing weight and you're doing this and you're doing that. And eventually the questions stop. And that's when because you've established a new level of yourself. And hey, welcome to the new you, because no one's asking anymore. You just show up and they're like, hey, what's going on? Instead of, wow, your pants are loose, or making comments. They don't care anymore because you've established a new level. But it all starts with mindset.
100%.
Yeah. And in addition to food, obviously you're helping people, like you said, like on a holistic level, and their approaches to, not only eating and, health wise and stuff like that, but how many of those, how many of your experiences have led to changes with them, either work wise, wealth wise, relationship wise, because of that?
Yeah, so much. I deal with a lot of people who are really holding themselves back because they're not as healthy as they want to be. And maybe that's because they don't feel confident in how they look. Maybe that's because they don't have the energy that they wish they had, or their brain just doesn't quite fire as quickly as they'd like. And so often when we fix, especially diet, but also sleep and stress and all of these other things, all of a sudden they see all these doors opening up and they go for promotions and they pitch their ideas and they start new businesses and they get out and date again, or, whatever it is, they go on adventures. They stop saying no to social activities or, travel. I know so many people don't want to be on an airplane because they're overweight, or, whatever that may be. There's just so many limiting factors when you don't feel your best or feel like you look your best. And so it really is about the life that they're gaining, not
Mhm.
about either the weight that they're losing or, the physical change in their body. It's all of those other things that open up for them.
Yeah, and I think that with that said, I think one of the biggest ones is confidence. Like, if let's face it, if you just don't feel, if you don't feel comfortable in the skin in which you're in, any confidence you exude, if you're not comfortable, it's a false bravado. It's, you're putting up a front like I'm good, but you're going home going, God, I don't like where I'm at. And when someone comes and they start to make progress and they start to establish these new levels of like who they are, what they feel about themselves, that confidence, you can, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it as well. Like a client, all of a sudden they jump on like their weekly call and it's just like, who are you? Because it is a brand new person, because it clicked. They're seeing results. Their confidence is through the roof. And they aren't talking about like what they've done to get there. They're already like, I'm doing that. This is the new me. Like, I'm walking every day. I need to figure out what's next. And that could be relationships with their kids and their spouse, or it could be, I'm confident. I'm going to go ask for a raise, ask for a bonus, or I'm going to go and create additional streams of revenue because, you said it once, Todd, no one got wealthy with a job. And it's very true. You can be successful and you can retire comfortably, but most people, you never attain true wealth and that financial freedom with a job. It's, you got to go figure different ways. And the only thing better than getting paid by one person is getting paid by five, right? That's a little personal take on it, but so with that, I mean, what do you see is the biggest factor in people that you've either talked to or that you look at and you're like, this will help you? What is the biggest factor from people making a decision to actually move forward and invest in themselves, both, monetarily and time and clarity of doing something different?
I think a lot of it comes down to what their motivation is. The person who just wants to lose 5 pounds for the upcoming vacation or wedding or whatever generally isn't all that vested in it. They just want to see the quick results and they're going to go right back to their old lifestyle. But the person who's facing their doctor wanting to put them on a slew of new medications that they don't want to take, or facing some scary surgery or a pending diagnosis of something that they don't want, all of a sudden that motivation becomes very different. Now, of course, I love catching people long before those situations occur, because why even get to that point if we could stop it earlier on? So
Right.
I think if they're coming to it with the right mentality, that they want to live their best lives in the most natural form possible, without unnecessary medications, without unnecessary devices and procedures and, even supplements. My
Mm-hmm.
goal is to try to get you to live as free of all the things as possible, so that you can just live your best life without all these outside influences, keeping you going, but to actually have all that naturally. And so I find that the people who are ready to take action are the ones who have all of that deeper motivation. It's not just about how they look, but they have that bigger drive of avoiding a diagnosis or reversing a particular condition or being able to do a particular thing that they can't do right now or that they're afraid of losing, and they want to be able to keep that. So the people who have that real motivation are the ones that generally take action and stick with it.
Yeah, and I think it's also the people that maybe they are somewhat fit, but they're looking at it not from a stance of, I want to lose a few pounds to get into swimsuit season. They're looking at it and saying, I'm 38. I need to make these changes now, because whatever change I make now is going to impact the rest of my life. And it's something that I can sustain for the rest of my life. And I don't want to wait until I'm 65 to start living. I want to start now. There's nothing says that you can't. But it's having that long term, that lifetime view. I talk about people all the time about your goals. It's like it needs to be sustainable for a lifetime, and it needs to impact your life in a hugely positive way. So stop aiming small, because I guarantee you the person that sets the resolution, I want to lose 10 pounds, they're going to be done by March. And I guarantee, I can almost tell them, next year, I'm going to write your resolution for you. And it's going to be, I need to lose 20 pounds, not 10, it's 20. Because you're going to spend this time thinking, next year's my year. And you're gonna go the opposite way. I mean, time, gravity, metabolism, everything takes effect. So why are you waiting? And I think there's a few different reasons why people set goals and don't actually achieve them. One is comfort. That person that you're like, they need to lose 5 pounds. They got kind of everything else in order, but they're eating a good diet. It could be better, but they're also getting a lot of activity, which balances out some of the bad stuff they're putting in. They're comfortable, or they're comfortable bad. They're just like no drive whatsoever. Okay, there's that. Their dreams aren't big enough. I want to lose 5 pounds. It's like, you gotta dream big. Grant Cardone says all the time, like 10x everything. And I'm sorry, but you can't 10x losing 10 pounds. I mean, we'd be the, little skin and bones all running around if that was the case. But you can take that stance and say, I just don't want to get fit. Like, I want to maintain it. And then fear of failure. And then mainly is fear of success. Speak a little bit about that, because I know you've seen it, like people that have come and they're just afraid, like, what if this actually works? So
yeah, I see that a lot in people who are afraid of what other people will think. They're afraid that they'll lose their friends because they won't be able to still have, pizza happy hours, or, whatever that may be, that they won't be able to still have those connections with people that they have now because they're based on unhealthy habits. And so I think a lot of times they're afraid of what other people are going to say. They're afraid of what other people's criticism is going to be, that they're going to get judged for how they're doing it, or what they're doing, or exact foods they're eating, or the type of exercise they're doing, or whatever their specific plan is. They're just kind of afraid of that judgment. And lastly, I would say, I think a lot of people are also afraid of what will be if they are successful. Like, what's the new standard that they have to hold themselves to? What's
right.
the new, decision process that they have to undergo? And I think it's kind of a secret afraid of failure. Like, I'm going to get there and then I'm going to lose it all again, or I'm going to, fall off the wagon. And so it's kind of a little bit of both, where they're afraid of succeeding only to fail.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of different things that play into it, but I think the fear of success is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's everything that you said, like what the friends will say, the critiques that you'll get, what society will think, a new level that's there. It's like all of that's there, but you need to, as individuals, and I'll tell people all the time, like, these are your goals. Keep them very personal and keep them very private. It's no one's business in the world what you're doing to level up your life, to improve yourself. Let them question let them ask all the time about what you're doing. Keep it private, keep it quiet. Let your results speak for themselves. Because ultimately that's what it leads to, is like, you wanted to attain this level of health, this level of wealth, this relationship, whatever, and you get it. And that's the only, and that's the person that they saw you a year ago, and now they see you and they're just like, what the hell happened to you? But they're looking at your result. They're not looking at the work, the effort, the tough times, the dragons you had to slay, everything like that to get there, because you didn't want to. It's fine. Keep it personal, keep it private. The only people that I'll tell you that, or I'll tell my clients that you need to share with, is when you ask why, with your goal. Whatever your goal is, we're always going to ask why at least 7 times, right? I'm like a math teacher reborn, just or English teacher, whatever. But get to what inspires you. Get out of motivation because it's fleeting. Get to inspiration. That's that fire that, you just you light a match inside of yourself. That fire is not going out. For me, it's my kids. And my goals that are related to them have changed because, this was from 5 years ago till today. They've gotten older, and my son's off to college and my daughter's a junior and driving. And I'm just like, oh God. But my goals have changed, but that fire in me is still burning because there is no way I'm going to fail my kids. Whereas, some motivational poster that's supposed to motivate, it's easy to fail because you're like, I didn't do it for me and I'm done, and people always talk about like, oh, this is like, I need superpower to do some of this. We all have it. It's called consistency and it's called dedication. And if you have those 2 things, if you're consistent and you're dedicated to what you're doing, you have all the superpower you need to do whatever you ultimately want. So,
yeah, the only thing I'll add to that is I completely agree with you with not telling the world what your plan is or even really why you're doing it. But I do think it can be very important to bring the people closest to you into that circle, not necessarily to divulge all of your plans and to, wait for their criticisms or their judgments or whatever, but to tell them why this is so important to you, what you need from them to be successful, and what the things that they might be doing that will make it harder for you. Be very clear about what you need and what you don't want from these people to make it easier on yourself. You can't expect them to know why you're avoiding a particular food or why you're not going to go on happy hours anymore. You can't expect them to know that if you're not telling them in detail why this is so important to you. Be very clear with your spouse, your kids, your coworkers, whoever that is that's going to sabotage you. Tell them and tell them what you need from them.
I agree because, as you're going through and you're asking yourself why it's important, who it's important to, I guarantee if you're married and got kids, one of those whys is going to lead to them. And I always say, like, involve the people that it's obviously that are closest to your family and the one that is any part of your basis of inspiration, because you want to involve the family because what you're doing is going to impact them. And the example I use is like, if your goal is I got to improve my relationship with my spouse, I feel we've kind of been on autopilot and I want to get back to, that feeling in the beginning, that love, that joy, that just smile that came to my face when I saw them and everything like that. And ultimately you're like, I want to, but we typically will go out to dinner once every couple months. We'll put the kids in a babysitter. Forget that. I want to do it every other week. Right. And that's my goal. And that's what I'm going to do. And then you tell them, because the problem is if you don't tell them, your spouse may be like, I don't want to go to dinner. And now you're fighting a battle thinking you're improving and your spouse is going, you don't even know me. You don't listen. So it's important at that point to involve everyone that's in it to say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why it's important. What do you think? Because that spouse may be like, look, let's do dinner once a month and the other date night or whatever, we'll go to a movie, we'll go on a hike, we'll go to the lake, we'll do something like that. Now all of a sudden your goals are aligned. And now you found someone that is not only supportive of your path, but they join you. And all of a sudden you create your own little tribe that's like on a path of evolution and growth. And it's fun to see because, if you get into it and you do it right and you dedicate yourself to it, you're going to find a ton of people that are like, heck yes, you're doing good. I don't know what you're doing, but you won't tell me. That's fine. Just tell me when you're going for a walk and I'll meet you at the corner. and they'll get into it with you, and you just create another accountability partner, a partner in what you're doing that starts to see, and now you're surrounding yourself with people that are, for lack of a better term, winners, and they want to achieve, they want to grow, instead of surrounding yourself with the pack of people that are like, oh, your life's okay, just stick with the standard quo. Okay, no. So all right, so we're about halfway through, so I will yield the floor to you, Andrea. Just tell our audience how they can get a hold of you and kind of how you can help them.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help anyone that has any questions about their health. I work a lot with metabolic health and gut health. So if you have any digestive issues, chronic pains, fatigue, blood sugar issues, diabetes, those kinds of things, I'm happy to help address any questions that you may have. Or if you just don't know, I also run a lot of testing and I'm happy to help. So if you have any questions, please reach out on my website. You can see it there on the screen, healthylifewithandrea.com. You'll find buttons all over the website for scheduling a free consultation with me. And on that call, we'll just talk about your situation. And if I think I can help, I'll offer how I can do so. Otherwise, I'll just answer your questions and you can have, the information.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's sometimes people they just need a little bit of clarity. And it's, you and I are in this business for the same reason. It's to help elevate the people that we're associated with, and the more the merrier, and help everyone continue to grow. But I'm not going to take someone's money if they're like, I just have a question.
Right.
Or I just clarify this one thing for me. Yeah, I'm happy to be like, yes, this is your answer. This is your clarity. I'm not going to even talk about the fact that, oh, I've got a, 8-week program and it's going to cost you this, and that's the only way I can help. No, it's not the only way I can help. So, but if you do need help with getting unstuck, if you need help with gaining that clarity, finding your inspiration, and just trying something new. I said it today on the post that I put out on I guess it was yesterday, Facebook or whatever. But if you've set a goal, set a resolution, something twice, and both times you haven't met your goal, the third time, get some help, please. Because gone are the days of I'm going to do it myself. There is too much information and knowledge, and people like Andrea and I who are truly here for you, to help just elevate everyone in society. So we're here to help. So go project9life.com. It'll set up, you'll go through a couple clicks, you'll get a free phone call. It's free. We'll chat for 15 minutes or so, figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and if I can help, and what's available to you, and if we're good partners for each other, because Andrew and I can both speak to it. We can't fix every problem out there. Sometimes yours is like a problem that I'm not the person to talk to, but Andrea might be. And Andrea, you might talk to her and she'll be like, talk to Thought. So we all work together on stuff, because we truly want what's best for you guys. So, all right, enough of the sales stuff, but yeah, it's, I read stuff all the time, and there's always just these little nuggets and little things that you read or you see that, yeah, they're motivational, but I guess because I've kind of gone down this path of like, my inspiration is always my kids. Like, I'll read something that's very inspirational, and it's like, yeah, and it kind of fires me up for like 5 seconds. But then I forgot what the heck it said, because it's fleeting. I'll give you a perfect example. So I saw this one. It was prior to me making this transition, and it was this fjord in Norway, ice blue water, steep hills. And on the one end, there's like this big boulder that kind of sticks off the ledge. And then it's like a 2,000-foot drop. And people take pictures there. It's famous, holding up the world or standing there and whatever. And it was one of those pictures, and it had a quote on the bottom, something something motivational. I'll be honest, I opened it and I immediately deleted it because I'm afraid of falling. I looked at it and I was like, nope. So my motivation for that day was gone. You're like, all I'm thinking about is, why is that person standing on the edge of a 2,000-foot drop that close to the edge? What if you slip? What about this? What about this? So that's, again, that was prior to, but it changes. And just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean you're having a bad life. Just because you have a bad week doesn't mean you have a bad life. Your goal is to just make a little bit of progress every day. And sometimes it's like there's something gets thrown your way, a roadblock or big boulder or whatever. If you pause your activity for a second and make a plan and make a course correction, that's progress. So don't look at that as, I can't do it. You did it. You still were moving forward. It's just your progress that day was finding a way to get through whatever obstacle was blocking it. So,
yeah, I'll just add to that really quick that I think so much of our choices and our habits, we also need to celebrate. You know, if you didn't have the donut at work, if you did choose to go on a walk after dinner, if you know, whatever that is, even if it's a little baby decision, if you're proud of yourself, you're more likely to stick with it. So be proud of all of those choices that you make that are in line with your goals, whether that's personal development goals, business goals, health goals, whatever. Be actively proud of yourself for the things that you're doing. Even if it's like a sidestep where you didn't actually go forward, you didn't actually make a fabulous decision, but you didn't make the bad decision.
Right.
Celebrate that. That's still progress. Now, of course, you want to celebrate appropriately, you know, not eating the donut. You wouldn't want to go celebrate by ice cream. Like, you know, celebrate appropriately.
I was going to say buying another donut, but
right.
It's just where I ate
recognize it. Recognize it and celebrate it and be proud of yourself. That goes back to the gratitude practice. Write those things down. Pretty soon you're going to have a notebook full of things that you're proud of yourself about. And when you look back at that, you'll be extra motivated, just like crossing big red X's on a calendar. If you have a whole book of things you're proud of yourself for, that's going to be pretty motivating.
Yeah. And take the time to go back through those. You know, I've got notebooks like just littering my house, because when I get an idea or I think about something, like, I don't want to have to go and run and find a notebook. So I've got them everywhere, because I don't know when that thought or that, you know, inspiration or that different kind of view of things is going to happen. So I just want a notebook and a pen pretty much everywhere in my house, so I can just grab it and write it down. But then I'm in the habit of once a week, I go through and I read those things. And like you're saying, if you get in the habit of your journaling, and that 5 minutes before bed, if you're like thinking of everything that's positive, part of that is the decisions and what you did that day. And then on a Friday or whatever, a Saturday, take some time and read back through your week. Because I think what you'll find is there is, no matter what you think of your life, there is so much more positivity in it than you ever thought possible. You know, it's like people always do those time studies, you know, like I want you to sit down and for one day, write down what you're doing for every 15 minutes. And at the end of the day, people are like, oh my God, I spent like 45 minutes standing at the water cooler. It's like that. Well, at least you recognize it. Now the path is to change it. But you find just like all this stuff and you read back through and you're amazed, because like each day gets a little bit better, and you're looking back at Monday going, God, that was my spark right there. I can see it. I wrote it down that I didn't get that donut at the office. And then Tuesday, I didn't get a donut and I ate a salad. And then Wednesday, I still didn't get a donut and I went for a walk. All of a sudden you're seeing progress and you're like, you don't even recognize it's happening to you until you actually take the time to celebrate it and to just be thankful for the fact that you're making progress. You I don't know why, but society looks down on people that want more or want better. Why? I mean, I'm curious with your opinion. Like, why do you think that so many people, like society in general, just tries to, it's almost like taboo to be like, I want more. I, you know, Society lives here, and I say it proudly. Like, if society lives here, I'm more comfortable. I like to live up here. I'm not, it's not boasting, it's not anything. I just want more out of my life, and I celebrate it. Whereas society might be like, oh, you need to bring the right hand down a little bit. But I'm curious for your take on that.
Yeah, I think so many people are focused on what's happening to them rather than owning it. And if you're killing it and you're taking in more and more and more and up leveling your life and achieving all your goals and living your best life, that makes them feel bad about themselves because then they feel like, well, why not me? Why am I not getting it? Instead of recognizing that it's on them and they can have it too. Every one of us can. This is not a pie with limited pieces. All of us can go after it. So the fact that you want more and I want more doesn't mean somebody else gets less.
Mm-hmm.
That's purely a mindset thing. And unfortunately, I think our society is really built on like luck and, people believing that things just happen to them and other people are lucky and other people are, given things, and they're just not really looking at the whole picture. Successful people, the vast majority of people who've actually been successful and earned it themselves, put a lot of work in.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of schooling or education or training or mentorship or whatever, blood, sweat, and tears. And sure, there's talent involved in some of those things, but not always. A lot of it just comes down to mindset and the
Well,
work that you're willing to put in.
yeah, I think you're right. It absolutely is mindset, and it's being present when you're seeing something and recognizing the opportunities. Because, like you just said, the most successful people out there, and I'm not talking like the richest, I'm just talking like the most successful in general, they are typically the first person that if you met them and you went to them and said, hey, I'd like to learn how you went from where you started to where you are, they are the first people to go, here, this is exactly how I did it. It lists all the mistakes that I made, all the successes I had, and the game plan that I've put together moving forward. I'm not saying you have to follow it. I'm not saying that you should follow it. You shouldn't copy it, but just avoid hitting these mistakes. But here's my game plan. And, they're willing and happy to give out this information because they look at it like you and I do. Like, the more impact we can have on society as a whole, and bringing that, just bringing levels up, we're all going to be better off for it, and you're right. It's not a pie. It's not, well, if I take a piece, then Andrea can't have a piece. It has nothing to do with that. Trust me, the Fed will put more money in the system. That's fine. It'll never end. Your fitness, like, just because you lose 10 pounds doesn't mean it goes to someone else. It's just gone. So just that mindset of do what you want, do what you're passionate about. If you're not at a stage where, your uncomfortableness with your current job outweighs the comfortableness of, I know what I'm making, I know when, that's fine. But find something else that you can take some hours at night, especially with technology. There's so many different ways that you can, for cheap or free, get into doing stuff that's going to generate an additional income. And it doesn't matter at the first. If it's like a couple $100 a month, hey, that's great. What did you have to do for it? You had to update something once a week, and it took you a half hour so you worked 2 hours and you made $200 this month. I'm not seeing like the downside. You're not trading dollars. You're not trading hours for dollars, because the next month you're going to do the same amount of work, but it might be 400, or, it'll start to increase. And that is truly how the world works. It's not It's not our parents that were like, go to college, get out of college, go to work for the same company for 35 years, get your pension, your 401k, your social security, your gold watch, and then go do what you want. It's like, nope, nope, thank you. Like all we're going to do, and a good concept is like, all the successful people do is they just compress time. So Grant said it once. He's like, if your goal is to make $1 million, great. You can go to work at Taco Bell. You make $20, $18 an hour. You do that for the next 40 years at 40 hours a week. Guess what? You just made $1 million. Who wants to do that? Right? He's like, so all we do is we just compress time. And instead of taking 40 years, he's like, I want to do that in 4 days. I want to do that today. And it's just compressing the time. And you don't do that by going to work at Taco Bell. You do it by finding different ways that you can expand. If they're working with you and all of a sudden they're like, Andrea, I feel amazing. Like my confidence is high. I'm seeing opportunities. Don't stop there. Like, I'm good. No, be like, no, what's next? Keep going. It's not bad to have you elevate your life, just in general. So,
I think you can make your best life in one of two ways or both. If you make life easier for other people, or if you just make life better for them.
mhm.
So in either way, you're providing value. And the more value you're bringing, the more income you'll have, the more freedom you'll have, the more value you will feel, the more important you will feel. So find ways, even if it's not monetary, find ways that you can make life easier or better.
Yeah. If you're really good or smart at your job, and it's this whatever tech job or whatever, and even though it's not monetary, like, go to your kid's school and say, look, I want to donate a day to teach kids about whatever it is that your discipline is, because it's here to stay. If you're God, and especially the way that it's going, like if I was an AI expert, I'd be going to every school and be going like, guys, this is here. It's here to stay. You need to learn how it works. The pitfalls, the opportunities, what to watch out for, what to take advantage of. Because the earlier we can ingrain that in our kids, the better off society is going to be when they get to adulthood and they're out there in the world and they're the ones that are now employed and they're running these companies and stuff like that. You don't want the kid that's like, what does AI stand for again? Artificial something. It's like something you don't have. But yeah. But you're right. Like, always keep society and people at the forefront of whatever it is that you're doing. And you'll always succeed by doing that. And it might not be monetary, but people are it's a legacy that you can leave, is people are going to remember what you taught and the impact that you had on their lives, which you and I both, either gut health goals, whatever it is, like both of us, our goals is like, we want to just make life better for you. We want to give you the tools so that you can start to live more free, more confident, and start to make progress in your life. It's not our lives, it's your life. So, but I think that requires, like you said, take some ownership of stuff too. So, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely think the more you can own all of your choices, all of your habits, all of your routines, all of your mindset drama, all of, your life, all of the actions that you're taking, and don't blame other people, don't blame other circumstances. Really take a good hard look at your thoughts, because your thoughts then become how you feel about your thoughts, and the feelings generate what you do, good or bad.
Hmm.
And what you do, good or bad, leads to results, which are good or bad. So ultimately, it's all in what we think. And so,
Hmm.
really challenge the thoughts in your mind. It'll sound like facts. When you say it to yourself, it will sound like a fact, like my job sucks or my spouse doesn't support me. That sounds like a fact, but really, it's a belief.
Right.
Challenge the belief. Find a way to think about it differently, how you can take ownership, how you can change that, how you can be okay with somebody criticizing the foods that you're choosing not to eat and be okay with it. Doesn't matter. It's my choice, my life, my body.
Yeah.
I get to choose. I don't care.
Yeah, it's your life, not theirs.
Yeah.
And if you're going, you're one night out or whatever, and you go to Buffalo Wild Wings with buddies, and you order a salad, and they're 50 wings in each, you should feel proud and great about the night that you just had, where you were still social with your friends, you were still engaged with them, you were there, you were present. You just made a better choice, a different choice to get a salad instead of, watching Joe go for eat the hottest pepper wing or whatever record they got. I don't even know over there. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I'm sure it is somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a ghost pepper. Oh, yeah. And then someone's like crying and like, all of a sudden they're back in their childhood, and it's like, I remember when Dad fell off the ladder, and you're like, what just happened?
And they pay for it for a week afterwards.
Yeah, and then they come see you about their gut health, and it's like, you ate what? Yeah. This is gonna hurt for a week. So, all right, so we got like a few minutes left, 5 minutes left, or whatever, 3.5 minutes left. So, just kind of summarize like kind of what we've talked about and what can truly some of the people that are watching, like what can they actually take away from this to put into action now? Like as soon as they see it, they're like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is just really take good stock of what you're doing right now. How's it working for you? How do you feel about it? Are there things that you're like, I know I need to stop doing that? Or I really need to start doing that thing? Like, are there things you already know? Start there. Pick something. You don't have to overhaul everything. That's a recipe for failure and disaster and misery. Pick something. Start somewhere. And if there's something you don't know, or like you said earlier, something that you've tried multiple times and for whatever reason it's just not working, find another option. Find a practitioner, a professional, a mentor, a friend, a neighbor, a teacher, a coach. Find someone who can give you another option or tell you maybe why that particular plan isn't working for you. Maybe it's just not the right plan for you. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the plan, but it's just not right for you. Or maybe you need something before that plan. There's so many little nuances that we can get wrapped up in. So if you're kind of beating your head up against the wall with a plan that's not working, or you don't even know what to do next, keep searching. Find someone that will guide you. Find a podcast, find a YouTube video, find a book, hire someone, do a consultation with someone, find answers. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep looking for answers.
Yeah, and that's key. It's like if you're at that point, just get help. It doesn't, and you and I would love if they would come to us, but if it's not us, just get help from somebody that can give you a different perspective, is going to be very honest with you about what you're doing and why it's not working or whatever ultimately it is. But just get help. And the thing that kind of like my last comment before I'll throw it to you to get us out of here, but don't be a talker, be a doer. And you know the difference. And it's part of your self-evaluation. Are you a talker or are you a doer? You're going to know, because if your goals are in your mind, this is what I'm going to do, this is what's going to happen. When this happens, I'll get this done. Guess what? You're waiting for 50 years until you're actually going to do something. Successful people, their decision-making process is like that. They see something, it resonates with them, they want to be involved, or they need a different perspective. They make a decision right then so that they can start taking action on it. So that's a challenge for everyone out there. Just don't be a talker, be a doer. If you need help, get help. If you're the, I'm going to do this one last time, then do it. Stop talking about it. Do it. Okay. All right. We got the last minute. Andrea, I will leave it to you to kick us out of here.
Yeah, I'll just add to what you were just saying. I think there's a couple other things that successful people don't do, which is one, when things don't go well or when the plan doesn't work as planned, they don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
They pivot. They try something new. They get back on the wagon. They iterate. They do something and keep moving forward. There's no plan under any circumstance that's ever going to work 100% of the time. So be willing to be flexible, make changes, try something new, get back on the horse, keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is plan ahead for those failures. So in the dieting world, a lot of times this is like the holiday or the vacation or my in-laws are coming into town or some outside circumstance or event that's going to happen. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm just off the wagon. And that's this really black and white thinking that, as soon as they come into town, I'm not going to have a choice. We're going to have pizza night and we're going to have to do all these things. And again, you're giving your power away.
Mm-hmm.
Plan ahead for how you're going to deal with obstacles.
Yep.
Make a plan before the holiday comes. It's coming. It's not like they surprise it's holiday. It's coming.
Yeah.
Vacation's coming. Family's coming into town. These events are going to happen.
Yeah.
So plan in advance for what you'll do to navigate it and what you'll do if you do slip up or it doesn't go according to plan and you didn't follow your plan. What will you do to get back on? Make a plan.
Yep. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. This is Todd with Project 9 Life. Andrea, her website again is there. Thanks for watching Personal Development Hacks, and we'll see you guys later.